Men who waste women's time are more common than ever. Whether it's immaturity, a player lifestyle, or just a general trend towards the superficial in our dating culture, it can be extremely difficult to find good men who are interested in more than just a quick fling. In this video, I'm going to cover 14 different signs that mean a guy is wasting your time. I'll also tell you 6 false signs that people commonly believe makes a guy a player. Then we'll talk about why it is that men waste your time. And finally, what you can do about it if you find yourself in this situation. Let's get into it. My name, of course, is Emily Baker from LoveLearnings. I've helped thousands of women like you set themselves up for healthy relationships that better meet their needs. If you'd like to stop attracting men who treat you poorly, subscribe to my channel now for a comprehensive guide to dating in the modern world. Now, let's talk about the 14 signs that a man is wasting your time. Starting with number 1. He tells you he doesn't want anything serious. This is something that many men will say early on in the dating process. Most women hear this and then simply choose not to believe it. Maybe you think he doesn't really mean it. Maybe you believe that you can change him. Or maybe you're just lying to yourself. When men say this, you should take them at their word and understand that if you're looking for something more serious that involves intimacy, closeness, and growing together in a relationship, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Now, I'm not going to say that he can't possibly change his mind, but taken on its own, this is definitely a red flag and something you shouldn't ignore. Number 2, you always have to put in the effort. A happy, healthy relationship starts with mutual interest and takes effort on both parties to move forward. If you're always the one making plans, being affectionate, and putting yourself out there, then this is a clear sign that he's pulling away and just wasting your time. Try this. Stop texting him first for a week and see what happens. If the result is silence between the two of you, then this is a very clear sign that he's wasting your time, or is just genuinely not that interested in you. In contrast, a guy who isn't wasting your time will be chasing after you for the next date. Number 3, he's hot and cold. Hot and cold treatment is super common for time wasters. He's creating a dynamic that only serves his needs. He only reaches out to you when he wants validation and attention. And when you want it, he's going to be hard to get a hold of, or downright frosty. Ask guys like this for a favor, and watch him do backflips to find a reason that he can't be bothered. At other times, he'll seem like the nicest, most engaged partner you could ever ask for. But when his attention wanes, you'll see that it was actually all an act, so that he could get what he wanted in that moment. Instead, look for a pattern of behavior that shows he cares about you and wants to get to know you more deeply. Number 4, he's flaky. Similar to hot and cold treatment, time wasters are quick to make plans and quicker to break them. When a guy flakes on you, he's wasting your time in the most literal sense. There are a million ways to flake, and some are more serious than others. The worst is to make concrete plans and then never show up, leaving you sitting there like an idiot. Other guys will cancel plans the day of, which is better, but still not great. And then there are the guys who will suggest you do something, you'll agree, and then they'll let the day pass without a word. Less serious, but still inconsiderate. Of course, you need to give him the benefit of the doubt if he flakes on you a couple of times. The truth is that genuine, caring guys are human too, and we all make mistakes. The problem comes when this becomes a pattern. Bottom line, does he show up when you need him or not? Number 5, he has negative feelings about love and commitment. Many people have a cynical way of looking at love and relationships. This is something to look for when you want to know if a guy will waste your time or not. Think about how he talks about past relationships, or love in general. Is he dismissive of the idea of marriage? Does he think Valentine's Day or anniversaries are a waste of time? This isn't necessarily a red flag, but it's something to keep in mind. It's rare that people this cynical are inclined to be romantic, sweet, or intimate in the ways you might need if you're going to make a relationship work. So whether or not he ends up being a time waster, don't expect him to write you a song or tear up when you tell him how much he means to you. Number 6, he's never jealous. Jealousy in excess is scary and dehumanizing, but the complete lack of jealousy can be a red flag in itself. It's great when a guy trusts you and feels secure in himself, but if he never shows even a hint of jealousy when you talk about a cute guy or talk to an ex, or he even encourages you to look at other guys, then this could be a sign that he's not interested in exclusivity. Number 7, he talks about other women. A much more in-your-face red flag is that he constantly talks about other women. Bringing up a female friend or relative is not what we're talking about here. It's about other women who he may be seeing, or how attractive some female celebrity is. These are all warning signs that he's not interested in a serious relationship. Sometimes men will act this way on purpose to send a message. Other times, they'll do it unconsciously. Number 8, his future doesn't include you, or he doesn't bring it up at all. Think about how this guy talks about the future. Does he have big plans that involve moving across the country or radically changing his lifestyle? Does he talk about exciting career prospects that include a lot of traveling? When he mentions his future, are you a part of the conversation? This is another sign that he doesn't take you seriously as a long-term option and isn't considering you in his plans because he doesn't expect that you'll be around when that time comes. Just don't overstate the importance of this one if you've been dating for less than 3 months. I'll talk more later in this video about when you should worry that he's wasting your time and what to do about it. Number 9, the relationship is static. A relationship that doesn't progress is a relationship without a future. If you two have been together for a while now and things seem exactly the way they did when you first met, then this is a good indication that he's wasting your time. Have you tried to take steps towards a more serious relationship, like taking a trip together, meeting friends and family, and putting a label on it, only for him to fight you at every turn? Then you're stuck in a static relationship. Relationships are like sharks. If they don't keep moving forward, they die. And if he's actively working against this process, then there's a good chance that he's just wasting your time. Number 10, he uses low self-esteem as an excuse. This one is a bit controversial, but stay with me here. I'm not saying all guys with low self-esteem are wasting your time, far from it. But if he calls himself a bad person and tells you you could do better, then chances are he's using his low self-esteem as an excuse to justify his own behavior. While this may be how he really feels, what really matters are his actions. And in this case, he may be using this kind of language to keep you around while not making a commitment or moving the relationship forward in any way. Number 11, he's always bringing up his ex. When someone frequently brings up an ex, this is a sign that they're still hung up on them. It doesn't matter if he's singing their praises, telling you why the relationship didn't work, or telling you how much he hates their guts. This kind of fixation on an ex is gonna come back to bite you in the end. If he's still thinking about his ex this often, then how can he be a good partner to you? Unfortunately, he can't. And in the end, he's just wasting your time. Number 12, he won't tell you about his personal life. We all like a man of mystery, but if he's evasive and shady about the details of his life after several dates, then he's definitely wasting your time. This is common for guys who are cheating on a significant other, hiding something, or being standoffish because they don't know how to connect with another person. None of these scenarios bode well for your relationship. And if you can't get him to give you a straight answer, then you're better off moving on and finding a guy who is willing to be himself and open up. Number 13, he uses humor to deflect. When is a joke not a joke? When it's used to hide from questions about yourself, about your intentions, and about the future. Now, I don't recommend you grill a guy about what he's looking for and what you can expect from him, but if you bring up something important and he always twists things into a joke, this is a clear sign that he's wasting your time. Either he doesn't know what he wants, or knows that the two of you aren't looking for the same thing. In any case, he's using humor to sidestep the question and continue to waste your time. Number 14, you feel like you have to impress him. This is a more subtle sign that you've been taken for granted. If you never feel safe with him, like you can be yourself and let it all hang out, then this is definitely a red flag, especially if you've been dating for some time. It's not necessarily his fault, but this is definitely a sign that you two aren't creating proper trust and intimacy. And without these two things, a healthy relationship that lasts is going to be impossible. So, those are the most dangerous red flags that mean a guy is wasting your time. How many of them did you notice in your relationship? Unfortunately, the more of these ring true, the less stable and healthy your relationship is. But that doesn't mean things are hopeless. I'm gonna go over what to do if you find that a guy is wasting your time in a moment. But first, let's talk about some false red flags that I've seen people talk about. These are commonly thought to be red flags in relationships, but as I'll explain, that isn't always the case. And there are plenty of men who can tick these boxes and still treat you right. Here are 6 potentially false signs he's wasting your time. Number 1, he doesn't meet your friends and family. This one comes with a caveat. If you two have been together for 6 months and he won't come for drinks with your friends, then this may be a sign that he's wasting your time. But if he doesn't want to meet your parents a few months in, this is perfectly normal and not a red flag at all. The truth is, everyone moves at their own pace in a relationship. Number 2, he doesn't take you out. Going out on dates is a great sign that a guy is invested in you and trying to create a connection. But the inverse isn't necessarily true. There are plenty of homebodies who simply aren't interested in dinner or drinks. As long as he's willing to put in effort to make the time you have together special, don't be put off by his unwillingness to take you out on a proper date. That said, if it's been a year and you've never been out in public with him, that's of course a different discussion entirely. Number 3, he doesn't like public displays of affection. This is another potential red flag that can mostly be explained away by personal preference. While you may love PDA, some see it as objectifying, overly macho, or possessive. Others feel that kissing, holding hands, and touching are best kept private. This may be an old-fashioned way of thinking, but that doesn't mean that he's keeping your relationship a secret or trying to distance himself from you. Number 4, he doesn't spend much money on dates. Some women feel disrespected or taken for granted when guys don't spend money on them. While this can be a sign of a lack of commitment, for others it's just a sign of different priorities or economic status. It's pretty common for people in a difficult financial situation to keep that to themselves, and that can easily lead to a misunderstanding like this. Number 5, he doesn't open up about his emotions. It can be difficult for many people to open up to another person. They may worry about being judged, or they may have had a bad experience in the past. This is usually easier for people you're in a relationship with, but for some, this makes it even more difficult. They don't want to look bad in the eyes of a person they care so much about. While you may think his inability to open up is a sign that he just doesn't care, it's often that it really means the exact opposite. I actually recently made a video about guys who don't open up, which I'll link in the description below. Check it out when you get a chance. Number 6, you have a bad feeling. I'm all for trusting your instincts, but they can only take you so far. I know many people are prone to overthinking and finding problems where there are none. So don't let your own anxiety get in the way of a good thing. Make sure to take a serious look at what's actually happening in the relationship before you jump to any conclusions. In situations like this, it can be helpful to get some outside perspective. Ask a friend or family member if you can talk it through with them to get to the bottom of what's bothering you. Now that we've covered red flags, let's talk about the root cause of this issue. Why do men waste your time? Why would he want to spend all this time with you when he has no plans to move the relationship forward? Well, there are a few simple reasons that men waste your time. Most obvious, he's just using you for sex. He might talk a big game, be very charming, affectionate, and even loving, but if you spend all your time together between the sheets, then there's a good chance that he's just using you and that he's not really interested in a serious relationship. Another option is that he likes having his ego validated. I often get the following question from women who come to me for dating advice. Why do men text me all the time, flirt with me, but flake on me anytime we plan to meet up? Well, the answer is ego validation. Many people just want the rush of feeling desired by another person. Once they have that, they don't need anything else. This is true of many men who will waste your time. They just want that short-term bump to their ego without having to treat you right or move things forward. Then there's loneliness. If a guy wants to spend a lot of time together but never wants to get serious, go on any dates, or really commit to you in the long term, then chances are he's just using you to make himself feel less alone. At the end of the day, that's what drives many of us to seek out connections. But ideally, our relationships progress past this simple desire. Then there are men who waste your time because they're unable or unwilling to be in an actual relationship. This is probably the most common reason men will waste your time. They like you, they like spending time with you, but they have issues with intimacy or just lack the desire to settle down at this point in their lives. But before we go any further, we need to talk about your side of the equation. This unhealthy pattern is not your fault, but it isn't possible without your involvement, so you can be the one to break the cycle. You need to ask yourself the following questions. First, am I allowing him to waste my time? If you're accepting the bare minimum, letting him flake on you without an apology, and never letting him know how you feel, then that's something you need to consider moving forward. Stand up for yourself and your desires. And at the end of the day, at least you two will be on the same page about what's happening. Second, do we share the same feelings? Dating in the modern world is a lot less clear-cut than it used to be. What you thought was a friendship can easily turn into something more, and vice versa. If you're not sure how he feels about you, you're in luck. Head on over to lovelearnings.com/doeshelike right after this video to take our free quiz. It's totally free, only takes 5 minutes, and gives you a clear answer to the question, does he like me or are we just friends? Again, that page is lovelearnings.com/doeshelike. And third, have I made it clear what I want? The issues of expectations are something I always come back to when it comes to relationships. Knowing what you want is crucial, but just as crucial is letting your partner know as clearly as possible. There are certain situations where all it takes is one conversation to completely transform a relationship. So if you've been holding back, now's the time to open up about what you need from him. This could be all that's needed to turn this whole thing around. That about does it for this video. Have you ever felt like a guy was wasting your time? Let me know how you knew in the comments below. And while you're here, please hit subscribe so that I know you're out there. Thanks for watching. I'm Emily Baker, and I'll see you next time.